Hello and welcome to Weird Around Illinois. Today we're going to talk about fear. Are you scared yet? Let's get weird. So, we were at an event the other day and someone asked me a question that caught me off guard. It was one of our listeners and a friend, and he said, "Aren't you guys afraid to do this?" Meaning going on cryptid hunts and going on ghost hunts and things like that. And just off the top of my head, my answer was no. But we delved a little deeper into it, and we talked about some specific circumstances that were a little scary and things like that. And it brought up, I thought, some good things to talk about in terms of the dangers of cryptid and ghost hunting and when you should be afraid and when you shouldn't be afraid. So, as you know, we got into this basically through our love of the paranormal and cryptid TV shows. So I think that'd be a great place to start with some of our, regular shows that we watch and how they deal with fear. And I think I'll start at the low end of that spectrum. I'll start with the various ghost hunting shows. I'm not going to mention them by name because I don't really have good things to say about them in this regard.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of ghost hunting shows that I watch follow the same formula, where the brave, fearless ghost hunters go into the spot where there is supposed to be a ghost. They fully expect to see a ghost. They bring ghost hunting equipment. They do everything they can to summon a ghost, and then scream and run in panic when the first sign of a ghost actually comes up.
Yeah, it's like they magically have a paycheck that's haunting them if they don't scream loud enough.
Right. I thought South Park did just a wonderful spoof of that when they did an episode where they called in these professional ghost hunters and they were like wetting themselves because they heard something upstairs or something. It was beautifully done and shockingly accurate.
Yeah.
But honestly, because of that, we don't tend to watch a lot of ghost hunting shows. We've seen a few, and every now and then we'll watch one if it's on, but we really focus more on the cryptids in terms of our TV watching. And a couple of our old favorite cryptid shows are Mountain Monsters and Alaska Monsters.
Yeah, I mean, with Mountain Monsters, it's a similar kind of scenario where no matter what happens, I mean, like they get to something really deep in the forest and just they start freaking out. Not quite to the point of where they're screaming and completely running, but they have the same effect of, what was that?
Yeah.
What was that? And then because they're armed, I guess they start pointing and shooting at them in the first season anyway.
Well, I gotta say, I actually liked the first few episodes of the first season better than the rest of the show.
Yeah, agreed.
And the reason is because their reaction was more natural. These are like 5 or 6 armed woodsmen, basically, who spend their time hunting in the deep woods. And when they heard something break a branch, they broke out those guns and let fly.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I saw that, I was like, wow, these guys are the real deal.
And they fired at will.
Yeah. Hopefully Will wasn't the cameraman, but...
Yeah.
They really toned it down after that, though. 6 or 7 episodes in, that's when they started the whole, the ghost show thing where, hey, what was that? What was that? I need help over here.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they didn't even shoot after that. It was
No.
like 1 or 2 times they shot at the beginning, and that was it.
I mean, they did keep their guns, I guess, with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Alaska Monsters kind of started with the whole season 2 vibe of Mountain Monsters, where they carried their guns and never used them for anything other than, a prop.
See, I noticed the first season they shot like a couple of times, similar to Mountain Monsters. And as far as we know, the second season, they're not really shooting anything.
I must have missed those shots in the first season. I mean, I remember the guy with the knife. I don't remember the shots.
Yeah, they shot a few times.
Okay. Yeah, so a little bit better than the ghost hunting shows, but still that whole, why are you so panicked at seeing a Bigfoot when you came out here to find a Bigfoot?
Yeah, I mean, at least it's an entertaining balance.
Mm-hmm.
Another show that we see this kind of stuff on his expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah.
They don't carry like guns and all that stuff, but they do like research and they try to at least spot the Bigfoot. But then if Bigfoot makes a noise or something, they're kind of freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're one of those where they have a bunch of gadgets and they have a big backpack and they just go in a straight line or, in some direction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're not hunters. They're just explorers.
And I guess that's why maybe I give them a bit more of a pass, because they're often alone in the woods with, presumably just them and a cameraman. I mean, I have to admit it's a little comical when, the great survivalist Russell is terrified and says, "Woof! Woof!" to try to scare off the bear or Bigfoot or whatever it is that's near him.
Yeah, for them it's more pitiful.
Yeah, but when Maria is on her own out in the woods and she sees a huge thermal image a few feet from her, I can understand being a little freaked. Similarly with Bryce, I mean, he's an actor, and when he's like standing on the edge of the lake and he's getting multiple thermals around him, I can understand being a little creeped out.
Yeah.
Plus, he got killed by a Bigfoot in a movie. He's probably got PTSD.
That's right.
Let's not forget the cameramen too. They're always freaked out, shaking the camera all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's another point with the ghost shows, actually. There's always a cameraman, but, there's never a reaction from them most of the time.
That's a good point.
True.
Yeah, I mean, at least, like, in Mountain Monsters and Alaska Monsters, you can see the cameraman freaking out at the same time that the people are. As a matter of fact, that aggravates me more than anything, because you never get to see what they're freaking out about, because the cameraman is spinning 360 degrees.
Yeah, or, the producer goes, in some scene and tells them, "We found something on a drone, and this is absolutely terrifying."
Yeah.
Goes admit.
And then they do the zoom in and zoom out, so you still can't look at it.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, there are a couple other shows that we watch regularly, like Finding Bigfoot and, the whole host of Tubi shows, but nothing really jumps out at me about those as being, particularly unnatural in terms of the reactions. I think, Survivor Man, Les Stroud, would make the argument that the reason nobody reacts strongly in Finding Bigfoot is because they're rarely more than 5 feet from the parking lot on their expeditions. But I wouldn't know either way, so I'm not gonna enter into that debate. But
They seem more amazed than anything when they see signs of Bigfoot.
yeah, that's true. And I guess I would expect that from the skeptic in the group, but not from like Bobo and Cliff and Matt, who should be expecting to see Bigfoot around every corner.
Yeah.
Well, I would expect it because they seem like really excited about Bigfoot.
Oh, okay. So you think it's more of an excitement, not necessarily surprise?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So that brings us to us. And, we've looked for everything now, from ghosts to Mothman to aliens. Let's kind of go through them one by one and see, whether or not we've got any fear of these things. Why don't we start with ghosts? How do you guys feel when we're on a ghost hunt, or about ghost hunting in general?
Well, today, I really don't think that I'd have anything to fear. But the only time that I would fear is, as a child, because obviously I've had my own ghost experience with a shadow person, which kind of qualifies as a ghost. I don't know, maybe if I saw a shadow person, I'd go into absolute shock and somehow feel a sense of dread. But yeah, I really can't see myself being completely scared.
For me, when we do ghost hunts, we're usually together. We're not alone. So it kind of makes it less scary to me.
That's true.
That's kind of a common theme for me on all these, actually, because we're facing all these things together, and being together, it tends to bolster the courage a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's a weakness of ours as well. I think, like Emmerich Park, for example, in a few different scenarios, it would be better if we were more spread out, because, we're not gonna run away from the room or the area. We're gonna stay there and make sure we get it recorded, whatever happens.
Yeah. I went to Emmerich Park one evening by myself just to see what happened, and nothing really happened. And that leads me to another point. It should be dark. if we're really gonna be scared, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. We visited some of these haunted sites during the day when the hauntings aren't expected to occur. We've also visited like haunted restaurants when they were full of people, so you know there's not going to be a ghost popping out at you or anything. But in general, I'm with you. I was more scared of ghosts as a child, I think. I was terrified of ghosts as a child.
Yeah, the most they can do from what I've seen and heard is, scratches. They can do physical damage, but I've never heard of a killing.
Yeah, I really haven't either. I'm sure if we dug deep enough, we could probably find a case where somebody was scared into falling off a balcony or something. But
yeah,
in general, ghosts are more jump scares than anything.
Yeah,
and they don't scare me. I mean, I say this now, when we go do our next thing in Galena, who knows?
We may be naive for that one.
Yeah, my hair may turn completely white and I may never speak again, but right now my feeling is that, in terms of ghosts, I want to see one. I'm not afraid to see one. If I do see one, I fully expect that I am not going to run screaming from the room, and I'm probably, maybe I'll stutter and stammer a little bit and not be able to hold a normal conversation for a few minutes with it, but at the very least, I think I can do what we came there to do.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if this counts as a ghost encounter, but I do remember when I was a kid, I once woke up and I must have, maybe I was half asleep, mostly asleep, I'm not sure, but I saw insects on the bed and all over the place, and it just felt so real, they're actually around, and that's one of the more scary moments I can remember.
I think that may have been one of those interdimensional portal things.
Possible.
I mean, if you ever see the Stephen King movie, The Mist, basically it's about this rift that occurs between dimensions, and these big, ugly insect creatures start coming over from the other side, and they're really terrifying. So I'm wondering if you might have experienced a brief interdimensional rift there.
Yeah, I don't know, because the insects were definitely bigger than normal insects. They were bigger, and it felt real, and I remember having such a strong fear.
And then we came and checked it out, and there was nothing here, right?
Right.
I just don't want people thinking the house is infested with cockroaches or something.
Yeah.
There were no insects, aside from the occasional ant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one of those strange moments.
Yeah. So what about Bigfoot? This is kind of a interesting one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. If he came running at me holding a boulder, I think that would give me a reason to run.
Yeah.
Except for me personally, my fear would be more silent than anything. I wouldn't start screaming at the top of my lungs.
Mm-hmm. Does this fear ever cross your mind when we're looking for Bigfoot? I mean, I know we haven't done a ton of Bigfoot hunts, but there have been a couple spots we've been in where Bigfoot was supposedly sighted.
To be honest, not entirely. I think, I don't know. I think for the video and for the evidence that we could have, I think me being ripped apart subconsciously would be okay.
I don't like hearing that.
For research purposes, all right?
Hey, we got 1 million likes. We can pay for the funeral now.
Exactly. No, but that would be with me being as safe or as careful as I could be to avoid being ripped in half. But, you got to take risk with this, with the danger that could come up with this. You got to accept the truth.
True.
I don't usually think about being scared or anything like that, but I think if I did see a Bigfoot, I think I'd be scared, really scared. Because right now it just sounds oh, I'd see a Bigfoot, it's fine. But I think if you really think about it, if you're really in that situation, I think most people would actually be scared.
Yeah. I have a slightly different take on this, and this could be a take that comes back to haunt me someday, but I believe Bigfoot is inherently good. I think that, he tries to scare people out of his territory, but I don't think he eats people. I don't think he kills people for no reason. I think that if I don't raise a weapon to him, he's not going to attack me. He'll just throw some rocks and roar and try to get me out of his territory. Again, I could pay for that theory someday, but based on everything I've seen and read, that seems to be the prevailing vibe from Bigfoot. And for that reason, I guess, of all the cryptids that we look for, I probably fear him the least, even though he's probably capable of doing the most damage if he were to be violent.
Maybe. I mean, we'll have to find out once we come across him.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're right.
The other thing I'll just bring up for all of these physical cryptids that we're talking about, Bigfoot, Dogman, to a lesser degree Mothman, we're three relatively big guys. I don't think any animal or cryptid is going to look at us as food. They're not going to say, look at those guys, there's an easy meal. They're going to look at us and say, I've really got a taste for fish. I wonder if there's any salmon running in that stream down there. Because why would you? I mean, there are much easier ways to get a meal than going after three big guys. Similarly, if you can avoid three big guys rather than fight them, it's usually a better idea, which I think plays into what you were talking about earlier. I mean, it may be hurting our chances of finding cryptids because we're always together and we probably look like a threat.
Yeah, and that was mainly in the ghost scenario, but yeah, it could be applied to cryptids.
Yeah, I mean, if it were a solo cryptid, particularly if it were like a younger or adolescent Bigfoot or a Dogman pup or something like that, of course they're going to avoid us.
Yeah. And your logic with Bigfoot cannot be applied totally to Dogman.
Oh, no.
No. Dogman is a little bit more irrational, so
yeah.
He might be the one to rip me in half. Maybe that's what I was on about before.
Yeah, of all the cryptids that we look for, Dogman is the one who scares me the most.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And again, I don't obsess over it when we're going, out into the woods, but when we're looking for Dogman, I am armed. I mean, there's no way I'm going looking for Dogman without both protective and offensive weapons. I don't know if they do any good, but I at least want to improve our chances a little bit.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to add for both Bigfoot and Dogman is if we're just at a small forest preserve near a parking lot, we're probably not going to be that scared because we can just go to the car.
Right.
But if we're deep in the forest, the Appalachian Mountains, that's when things could get scary.
That's true. That's very true. And we've certainly done our fair share of the Finding Bigfoot type expeditions where we're 100 steps from the car, or the Bryce style expeditions where we're driving.
Yeah.
But
or in a bar or something.
Yeah, exactly. But we have done a couple where we've been in the deep woods. I mean, the Appalachian Mountains, as you mentioned, the Michigan one where we were on that hiking trail jumps to mind, and that was late at night. And even up by Holy Hill, we kind of wandered out into the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that definitely changes the vibe no matter what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, any other specific fears about Dogman other than the fact that he's more aggressive and probably just as dangerous as Bigfoot?
Well, I guess I fear that it's faster. It could come from a further distance.
Yeah.
Sure, for now I don't see it, let's say, but it could just very well run up towards me and attack me.
I've got to say, I'm a little more leery of Dogman now, or a little bit more worried about Dogman now after talking to Henry. I mean, it sounds like if we met, again, taking everything Henry said at face value, and it's up to you how much of his stories you believe or don't believe, but if we take everything he said at face value, if you meet a natural Dogman, you're fine. He's either going to avoid you completely, or you're going to catch a glimpse of him and he's going to go his way and you're going to go yours. But Henry basically told us, if you meet one of those genetically enhanced government-created dogmen or government-enhanced dogmen, you're dead. There's absolutely nothing you can do that's going to make you survive that encounter, and you're going to be another person who got lost in the woods and eaten by a mountain lion or something, would be the cover story.
Yeah. Yeah, those types are the biggest fear.
Yeah. So we'll try to avoid the government-enhanced dogmen.
But what we won't avoid is Mothman.
No. Mothman has become like a very personal target for me.
Yeah, especially around here.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that I'd be a little bit concerned about is the, I guess the idea of Mothman paralyzing his, I guess, his prey or, just humans in general. He's been known to do that a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's like a natural paralysis of fear,
Yeah.
or if it's some supernatural power, either the screech or the eyes. I've been reading Tobias Whalen's book on the Mothman sightings in Chicago, and the accounts vary so much. It's really hard to get a good read on where this paralysis is coming from, and it doesn't even happen to everybody. So, I guess my gut feeling is that it might just be shock in some people because they're not expecting to see Mothman. That's my hope anyway, because we would be expecting to see Mothman, therefore we wouldn't be paralyzed and could take our pictures and do our readings and whatever we needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'd be scared to see Mothman, especially from a distance. I think I'd rather just see Mothman than Bigfoot.
Yeah. And Mothman, to the best of my knowledge, has not openly attacked a human. I know he's attacked cars and left scratch marks and stuff on cars. And, there is a fading belief that he might have had something to do with some natural disasters. But again, the more of these accounts I read, the more I find myself believing that was just coincidence. I don't know. But perhaps the most dangerous thing we run into on any of our hunts, and anywhere in life for that matter, is humans.
Yeah, we're gonna kill ourselves.
Yeah. I am much more worried about humans on any hunt we go on than I am any other type of cryptid or ghost or paranormal phenomenon. There's so many ways humans can cause problems for us, whether it's the police arresting us because we stepped over, a property line that we shouldn't have, or parked in the wrong spot, or if it's, some lunatic hiding in the woods, or, some guy who, has a moonshine still in the Appalachian Mountains and thinks we're federal agents and wants to dispose of us. There's just a lot of ways things can go bad with other human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in the Appalachian Mountains, there's a tent somewhere that we wanted to park.
Yeah.
And I remember you were like, "No, we're not going to go there."
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure it was probably just a couple hikers out for a nice camping trip or something, but it could have been some kind of lunatic.
Yeah.
I didn't want to start our visit there.
We don't want to find different people from the Mountain Monsters team.
Yeah.
People with guns and looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah,
accidentally shooting us.
Yeah, good point.
That's why we read the no trespassing or, hunting is here signs.
Mm-hmm. One thing we didn't talk about that we probably should is aliens. You guys afraid of aliens at all? Not that we do a lot of hunting for aliens, but we have done UFO hunts before.
I actually, in a way, I am, because I would really worry about being abducted. I guess specifically if I saw a UFO, I'd be worried.
Yeah, I could agree with that. After watching Resident Alien so much, they forget, they lose their memory of ever being in an alien ship, and that always creeped me out a little bit. But I'm sure there's a way to get around that one day. They continue coming.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the shows that you and I watch.
Uh-huh.
A whole lot of crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, the experimentation and a whole bunch of stuff you don't even want to know about.
Yeah.
Were you guys scared when we saw our UFOs? Because we actually had an encounter, at least as far as I'm concerned, that was a UFO encounter about a year ago.
No, I was just very skeptical.
Yeah, me too. I was amazed more than anything.
Yeah.
They're too far away for me to be worried.
That was kind of my take on it too. I mean, they were so far away. If they were closer, then it may have been a different story. But I felt like, if they were going to abduct somebody, it was going to be somebody like 50 miles away, not us.
Now, if we shot a rocket at it,
Yeah.
You know, a big one that could aim directly to them.
Still gotta do that someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got the rockets now. We just gotta, get around to putting them together and launching them.
Yeah.
So it's not legal anywhere in Illinois.
Well, it's
Fire.
legal in Illinois. It's just not legal on public lands, or most public lands in Illinois, like the forest preserves and the parks. Most of them don't allow it.
Okay.
If we find a neighbor with a nice big yard or something, we could probably pull it off. But there's a couple places in Wisconsin where you're actually welcome to do it. So I think that's probably where we'll end up. So real quickly, do you guys have any scary moments on any of our trips so far? Things that struck you as particularly frightening that at the time really worried you?
To be honest, not really scary. The only thing that, like, I guess somewhat shocked me was when we heard like a whistle at the soda aisle.
Oh yeah.
That was the only like strange thing, really.
I mean, there's been moments where I've heard pretty loud branch breaks, and that startled me temporarily, but eventually I didn't hear back from any of that. So yeah, nothing much.
I remember in particular when we were at the Nitschke Mounds the first time, when you and I were standing there and we heard branches breaking inside the woods, and I ran the thermal over it and there was nothing showing on the thermal. And branches sounded like they were just a few feet away. It was creepy. I won't say I was scared, but it was a little creepy. Yeah, I mean, probably the only really scary thing I could think of, and it wasn't necessarily scary, but again, just a little creepy, was that Michigan trip when we were looking for Dogman, and it was a spot where Bob from Michigan, this had to be within a mile or two of where he had his Dogman encounter, or one of his Dogman encounters. He said several, but we were just there in the middle of the night. I mean, without our lights, you couldn't see more than an inch in front of your face, and it was one of those places where you just feel like if something happened, nobody would know for a while. And the thought crossed my mind a few times while we were out there, but again, we were together, and there were actually 4 of us on that trip, so I wasn't scared, but I was at a heightened level of alertness.
Yeah, I guess the trip to the Appalachian Mountains was actually kind of scary because again, we weren't near like any main parking lots.
No,
we barely had GPS.
Yeah, for most of the trip we didn't have GPS. Yeah. We were following my scribbled notes.
Yeah, and if the car broke down or something, then that'd be a long hike.
Yeah. All right, so that's our take on fear and the paranormal. And we welcome you to share any stories you have or any thoughts you have on the subject. And as always, we thank you for listening and thank you for subscribing.